This is...
Cause everything inside, it never comes out right. And when I see you cry, it makes me wanna die. I'm sorry I'm bad, I'm sorry I'm blue, I'm sorry about all the things I said to you. And I know I can't take it back. I love how you kiss, I love all your sounds, and baby the way you make my world go round. And I just wanted to say I'm sorry. This time I think I'm to blame. It's harder to get through the days. You get older and blame turns to shame. Cause everything inside, it never comes out right. And when I see you cry, it makes me wanna die. I'm sorry I'm bad, I'm sorry I'm blue, I'm sorry about all the things I said to you. And I know I can't take it back. I love how you kiss, I love all your sounds, and baby the way you make my world go round. And I just wanted to say I'm sorry. Every single day I think about how we came all this way. The sleepless nights and the tears you cried. It's never too late to make it right. Oh yeah. Sorry, I'm sorry I'm bad, I'm sorry I'm blue, I'm sorry about all the things I said to you. And I know I can't take it back. I love how you kiss, I love all your sounds, and baby the way you make my world go round. And I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I'm sorry baby, I'm sorry baby, I'm sorry.
Buckcherry with Sorry, very popular one that's going around all the different podcasts at the moment. Buckcherry are currently on tour all over the US. Go to buckcherry.com and there's a whole list of dates of where they're appearing all over the place. So if you like that, go give them a listen. Hello, Lance.
Hello, Darren. Yeah, I really like that.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
I heard that on Love House Radio podcast the other day, and it was one of those ones that I started listening to and thought, I know this song. And it just so happens that I must have heard it on so many other podcasts around. I wouldn't be surprised, actually, if it might be one that's been used on a television thing as well. Because it's that...
Yeah, it's that kind of song, isn't it? It does.
It's that kind of a song, yeah.
Sounds very familiar to me as well, I've got to admit.
Now, they are currently on tour with a band that you do know, and I was going to be impressive and say they're currently on tour with, and you know what? I can't find who it is they're on tour with now. But I shall find that out and stick it into the show notes. The promise that I make every week: update the show notes with something that I generally end up forgetting.
Yeah, because it's generally me that does the show notes.
Yeah, well, you'll notice there's several different versions of the show notes. There's the show notes that go up on the website, the show notes that go up on your live journal, the ones that are on the Podshow website. They're all ever so slightly different.
Yeah.
As we remember things, we just add them all in separately.
We're not very strict
consistent.
on our... Yeah, consistent, that's the word.
So yeah, I had a bit of a chance to catch up on podcasts yesterday because I drove out to Watford to play Top Golf.
Right.
Have I told you about Top Golf?
You've mentioned it because you went a few months ago, didn't you? But I can't remember for the life of me how it's different to normal golf.
Right. Well, it differs in that it's a driving range. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're familiar with the setup of a driving range. It's just
very much so.
A building with one side of it missing, and you just hit the golf balls out into the green and sort of get the feel of how you're swinging and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, I actually go over a driving range every week.
Oh, every week? Oh, interesting.
More or less, yeah.
But this driving range has some holes in it. Now, we're not talking your general golf ball sized hole that you get on a regular golf course. These holes are about 15 foot across.
Oh, flipping heck.
And then inside the hole, it's divided up in a target fashion, similar to a dartboard.
Oh, right.
But instead of having sort of quite so many segments, it's just got 3 general bands, the outside, inner, and then the centre one.
So it's more like a archery target.
Archery target, yeah, that's more like it. And they've got varying sizes of these. So they've got the 15-foot hole is right down the end of the green, and then as you get closer and closer, the hole that's nearest is probably about 6 foot wide.
Right.
Now, if you get your ball into... Well, sorry. Taking a step back, you have to join and you get a membership card. With your membership card, you take a basket, take it up to the machine, put your membership card in, and it gives you however many balls you've paid for, and each ball has got a microchip in it. You go up to the stand that you're allocated, you swipe the ball through the little chip reader, and it's then aware of the fact that the ball is in play. You then knock the ball out into the course, and if the ball goes into one of the targets, there are microchip readers in the various sections in the target, which are then able to score how you've done.
Oh, wow.
Now, obviously, as with an archery target, the nearer to the middle you get, the higher the score you get. And the further out the ball went, so the further out the target is, the higher the score you get. So the best score you could possibly get would be into the middle of the target, into the middle of the furthest target.
Yeah.
But obviously that's a lot harder to do that. So some of the guys who do play golf are aiming for that back target, and maybe they'll hit the outer rim of the target and get 8 points. Whereas somebody like me who's never swung a golf club in anger in their life, I might hit 4 balls into the nearest target, getting 2 points each, and score 8 points.
Yeah.
So it's
almost a self-handicapping system, isn't it?
It's a self-handicapping system. It enables people of all sorts of levels to play on a much more even field. And it's great because there were a couple of people who, yeah, they were not professional, but they certainly
They're
knew
golfers.
which end of the club to use. Yeah.
Yeah.
And one game is 20 balls, and then we stop for food, and then you have another game after that. And it was fantastic. And I said to Cara, the next time that you come down, the 3 of us will go up to Watford and have a go at that.
I'm going to say, is it local? Because I'd love to come and have a go at this.
It's not exactly local, but it's on your way down here, so we could give you the instructions to meet up there.
Is Watford at the bottom of the M1?
Not far off, yeah.
Yeah.
So you come down the M1. It's a turning off of the M1 just inside the M25.
Yeah.
And you go
the sat nav will find it.
Oh, the sat nav will find it. Talking about sat nav finding it, the sat nav around that particular area goes a bit strange.
Right.
And tells you to go places where you can't actually go. So I didn't do the sat nav. I just looked at the map and said, right, okay. So you take the Watford turning off of the M25, head for the signs for the M1 south, but then once you get to the roundabout, you go west instead of going onto the M1, and then there'll be signposts from there. Great. But people who have taken who are using their sat navs, I don't know if it's a regular thing, and please, anybody who's got a sat nav, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but you seem to switch off watching the road signs because the sat nav is telling you where to go.
Yeah, I'll definitely confirm that one for you. I use
so
the sat nav a lot.
Even though there are road signs saying Top Golf this way, they'll drive past it.
Yeah.
And then do a right further down, which puts you into the middle of a housing estate, and they were lost.
Because that's what the sat nav told them to do.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm as guilty as anybody for that. I quite often follow the sat nav religiously, even though all logic is saying no, you really ought to be following what that signpost is telling you. No, but the sat nav's telling me to turn left in 300 yards, not turn right now.
Now, yeah.
But of course, if you then followed the sign, the sat nav would refigure it out and probably take you the route that the signposts are taking you anyway.
Yeah.
But it's being a slave to the technology, isn't it? You kind of almost hand over responsibility to that as opposed to using it as an aid.
Yeah, and it should be used as an aid. It really.
Yeah.
There's no substitute for looking at the map before you leave, really.
No. I mean, I tend now. I pretty much have my sat nav running all the time, and even when I go and pick my daughter up from Nottingham, I will have the sat nav running with it programmed into Sam's address.
Yeah.
The reason being is because it's not that I don't know which way I'm going. I do know which way I'm going. I could probably do the damn journey blindfolded.
Yeah.
But it's I know 2, maybe 3 different routes to get to Sam's house.
Yeah.
But there's certain points along the road where I only know that direction.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now I'd use the sat nav if there was a blockage.
Diversions.
If there was a diversion or something, I could then follow these diversions, because generally when you follow a diversion, yeah, they divert you around, but they don't really tell you where you're coming back to.
No.
So you can easily get lost at the end of the diversion signs.
Yep.
So if you've got the sat nav running, it will have picked it up and it'll get you back on your route. So I find it very, very useful from that respect. It's say for example I got to Melton Mowbray. I know this set of traffic lights, I go straight over, and that takes me out towards Nottingham.
Yep.
Now if that traffic lights was the sort of the junction over where I go, if that road was blocked, I can either go right or left, and I wouldn't have a clue which one to take.
Yeah.
But the sat nav would. If I just suddenly decided to turn left, it would figure it out for me.
I've been generally quite lucky because living so close to London and the M25, it's very difficult to get lost.
Yeah.
Because you're going to hit the M2, the M3, the M4, the M40, M1. Those are the main ones all the way around. The M26, and as long as you know where they are, M11. These are all pointing straight out from London.
Yeah.
And you can head north or south, and you'll hit one of them, or you'll hit the coast. So you'll at least hit a road sign for them that'll point you back in the direction. And then once you get within a 30-mile radius of London, then you start seeing names of towns that I know.
Yeah.
And I'm back again. But I think possibly with the price of fuel going up, people are more reluctant to go out and just learn the area anymore.
Sure.
And so you do want to make sure that, well, if I'm not going to take the route that I know, I want to make sure that I'm still not wasting petrol.
Yeah. I think the sat-navs are a great invention, and it does... I've certainly been places that I wouldn't have gone probably had I not got a sat-nav.
Such as?
Well, Nottingham, for a start, when I first went up to Nottingham.
Yeah.
Not because... I mean, obviously, getting to Nottingham's really easy. You just go straight up the M1.
And then follow the signs.
Yeah, but getting to a place... No, because that's miles away from Nottingham. But getting to a place within
Specifically,
Nottingham...
yeah.
That's where I think they come into their own. Yeah, anybody can look at a map and say, right, I'm coming from Bracknell to Risdon. Yeah. It's straight up the M1, get off at this junction. Sure, you can get to Risdon, but to get to my house, a normal road atlas is not going to show you the street plan of Risdon.
No. But then I think that's where the other
Google Maps would.
Absolutely.
And you could have
that's the next thing.
You could have a printout on that, but then I've got the sat nav, and that will do that for me.
Prior to Google Maps, if you'd have given me directions and I couldn't find them, then I'd have stopped at a local petrol station and spent a couple of quid on a local map.
Yeah.
And that is actually because when I went up to Nottingham, oh goodness, it would have been 17, 18 years ago now. Then the girl who was up in Nottingham didn't really know. She wasn't a driver, so she couldn't give me directions. She just gave me the address, and this was before the internet. Blimey. So yeah, I got out my my A to Z of England that showed you roughly where Nottingham was, and then once you got there, then it was a case of pull up at the nearest petrol station and get a local map, and then look it up to get there. But that's sort of a dying art. It's not something that people would even consider doing anymore.
I know, no.
But the amount of times though, when I was working in the garage, the amount of times that people would turn up in the garage and say, "Oh, my sat nav's told us that I need to go here and there and there," and I'm lost. And it's because they put in, perhaps there's two roads of the same name.
Yes.
And the sat nav has taken them to the right road, but it's completely the wrong area.
Yeah.
I've had that happen a couple of times. Other people who have typically the husband or the wife has actually set up the sat nav to get them to the place, but then they don't know how to do the return home journey. And this thing just confuses me, or that it's broken, or the battery's gone flat, or whatever, and they're just completely lost, or almost on the point of tears,
because
not
like
knowing
you say,
where they are.
They don't pay attention while they're driving down.
No.
Because they're just waiting for the sat nav to say turn left in 300 yards.
Yep.
But they turn left. They don't bother to take note of any landmarks or what the slip road is saying, what junction number it was. So they couldn't do that journey backwards because they weren't paying attention. The same as when if I was sitting in a passenger seat and somebody else was driving, I wouldn't pay attention. And it's essentially the same thing. The control is out of your hands, and you're putting your faith in something else, be it either another driver or a sat nav.
Yeah.
But
the thing when I was out in the States, and I know you're thinking grid system, dead easy, but
I've driven around Milton Keynes. A grid system is not dead easy.
The grid system is, but what you find out in some parts of the States is you've got a grid system which is easy enough to do, but then where the in our case the Mississippi cuts across, obviously the grid doesn't match up nicely with the river, and doesn't then match up nicely with the little island in the middle of the river, and then the other side doesn't match up. So there's like 4 or 5 different bridges that cross the Mississippi at this point, and Barbara never took me across the same bridge twice. So I had this really mixed up view of where we were, because we always seemed to go from one place to another, and then on to a third place, and then back. And those places were never the same, be there people's houses or shopping centres or whatever. We never actually took the same route twice, so I didn't get to learn it, which was a little bit confusing. But then after 2 weeks, I finally sort of started to get the hang of where I was. And funnily enough, with that, it was because I found that the car I was driving had a compass. And once I found the compass and how to turn that on, I was then able to match that to the directions that we were going and landmarks, and slowly piecing it together myself.
Make a mental map.
Yeah. There was a couple of assumptions that I'd made that completely confused me. I hadn't realised that there was this big island in the middle of the Mississippi. It's not actually in the middle of the Mississippi. There's actually two rivers that go either side, and I didn't know there was two islands. So as far as I was concerned, we kept crossing the Mississippi. But what we were actually doing is going onto this island, then going off again, and which was what was confusing me, because I thought we were going over the Mississippi twice. As soon as I realised that we were going over two different rivers, then I was able to sort of negotiate myself around a bit more.
Yeah, so a lesson to be learned with sat-navs.
Drove down to my little town. I eased my foot off the clutch. I got a couple beers, let's throw a party here in the back of my truck. The station's getting fainter, I check the alternator, say a curse upon my savior, I hope to see you later, yeah. Been down a couple roads, carrying a heavy load. It's time to let it go, it's time to let it go, 'cause there's no time like the summertime. I'm getting dead dog drunk. Yeah, there's no time like the summertime. I wanna fall in love. Fall in love. I eased down to my baby's place. Yeah, she was waiting all alone. Said, come on over here, you know I missed you, dear. Yeah, I've been feeling so alone. Oh, nothing could be better the way we feel together. I'm hoping that forever my hands are getting sweaty, yeah. Been down a couple roads, carrying a heavy load. It's time to let it go, it's time to let it go, 'cause there's no time like the summertime. I'm getting dead dog drunk. Yeah, there's no time like the summertime. I wanna fall in love. Fall in love. You wanna blow like a breeze.
Darren, Doug and Lance. It's a comment about the your most recent show, for me at least, which is number 29, and specifically about Lance's discussion about going on antidepressants and what sort of led up to that. Really, really fascinating, interesting piece, and I think for me, probably the most sort of, I think because it touches quite close to home, one of the best shows you've ever done, and one of the most interesting topics. And I wanted to say, partly to say that was a really courageous thing to do for Lance, to actually talk about it. A lot of people don't talk about that kind of stuff, and I think that's maybe part of the problem. It just doesn't get discussed. People are perhaps a bit too proud. Don't talk about things like that, and that leads on to people having the problem more. And anyway, I'm sure you get the picture. So yeah, sort of big kudos for doing that, actually talking about it. And also to sympathise. I suffer from the same problem. I've also been on antidepressants. I've also got the sort of social anxiety thing that Lance has also mentioned that he thinks he suffers from. So yeah, sympathy for that. What were the other points? Sorry. I've also got a terrible memory. I don't know if that's related to being depressed. That was also talked about, wasn't it? I guess the third point, is that the third point to pick up on, which I think is a lesson for both of us, in that Lance mentioned people have fed back, and I know I was one of those people that we were surprised he felt a sort of social anxiety, and I know Darren mentioned it as well, but I think that's an important lesson, certainly for me, and I think there's a lesson there for everyone like that, in that people do perceive you perhaps in a different way to how you feel. I think it's more so that it's not just a perception thing, it's that you do actually behave often in a different way to how you may feel inside. And I know there's the whole discussion about the masks we wear and how we behave for different people. God, this is a terribly rambly comment, sorry. But yeah, I think there's a lesson there that we do behave in a different way to how we feel. Maybe that we can use the fact that people don't think we're all that weird and strange, and to sort of feedback and boost the confidence a bit, and that might sort of maybe behave even better and more confidently, and that could feed back again into the self-confidence thing. And there you go. I mean, as I'm sure everyone appreciates, there's no magic bullet for this kind of thing, but it's part of the puzzle, I guess, and there's a different solution for everyone, but maybe it's part of the puzzle. Anyway, again, just to say, great show, great hair, hope you win. Yeah, sorry, I don't listen to Daily Source Code anymore, so that's as up to date as I am for that answer. Okay, cheers, guys. Bye.
Thanks for that, Mark. Really do appreciate the comment.
It's fantastic. We're going to have to rename the show now.
To what?
Dumbed Down Life isn't good enough. It's going to have to be the Touchy Feely Show. I also had a conversation with Ken from Derby about this same subject, and he mentioned how it was quite courageous to come forward with something like that. I think that we do choose subjects that are, well, as the title of the podcast, Dumbed Down Life, we're swept along a little bit by what's in the media and what's easy and comfortable to talk about. I know that the topic that Doug raised when he was in the last show about the testicular cancer, despite that being quite a dangerous subject to cover, I should imagine that when Doug found the abnormalities, he was quite scared. Again, that was quite brave of him to bring that up.
It certainly was, yeah.
It's not something that we make light of, but it's certainly something that you shouldn't let ruin everything. So yeah, some of these subjects, and I've got some ideas for some other edgy subjects that I'm working on.
Well, I think this has proved that we can discuss issues, if you like, and edgy subjects, if you want to call them edgy subjects, without them becoming too boring or too depressing. I mean, we last week, we did a whole sort of piece on depression, but it wasn't depressing. And I felt very comfortable talking about it, to be honest, because I'm amongst friends. And And it's something that I have actually discussed with you outside of the show, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it was really, really comfortable talking about it from that point of view, because I already knew that you knew, and I knew pretty much the sort of the way the conversation would go.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was something slightly different to, like you say, we normally tend to sort of stick to what's going on in the media
What's safe, isn't it?
and what's safe. But it does prove that we can do something slightly different every now and then, and a little bit more personal.
Yep.
And that people are appreciating it. So thanks for the comment, Mark.
Yes, thank you very much.
As payment, we'll give you another plug, shall we? The stainlesssteelrat.com, isn't it?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I don't know what the full URL to the RSS feed is.
But we'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, right.
Honest, we will.
And before that,
it was a song called Summertime, which is nice and apt because we seem to be having somewhat of a summertime, with the aptly named Hello Dave.
well, it would be better if it was Hello Mark, but Hello
yes,
Dave is
Hello Dave
a tribute to one of our other listeners.
who runs the Bugcast
Yes.
pod show, which is at bugcast.thelovebug.org. So go and listen to him. So, talking about things in the media. Quite funny how you mentioned that, because that's precisely what I want to talk about.
Excellent. You'd think we'd planned this, wouldn't you?
Deceptively, isn't it? I don't know if you've read anything in the news recently about the new Batman movie.
I've seen the general gist of the headlines, but not actually read any of the articles.
Well, suffice to say that I am brimming with excitement. It would be putting it mildly.
Yeah.
I'm an absolutely huge Batman fan.
You're not that big.
Oh, I am. I'm getting bigger and bigger, mate. I've mentioned it a few times, and my loathing of Joel Schumacher for really screwing it up for the Batman Forever and Batman and Robin.
Came up on 27. Yep.
I think it did. Yes. That's right. The covers show, wasn't it?
Yep.
I mentioned it then. Yeah. But anyway, the new Batman movie comes out this week, I think, in America, and in a couple of weeks over here. And there's a lot of talk earlier on in the week, because obviously Heath Ledger plays the Joker, and Heath Ledger died earlier on in the year from an accidental overdose. And at the premiere, a lot of the stars were saying that Heath should get an Oscar for his performance of the Joker. That it's, I think Michael Caine said that it's the best performance of a villain he's ever seen in his entire life. And I just sort of wonder whether really that's probably just an over-exaggeration because Heath Ledger's died. It does seem to me that whenever a young actor who... I like Heath Ledger, and I think he was a very, very good actor. But when a young actor who shows a lot of promise and could have an incredibly long, successful career dies early, his last performance tends to get blown out of proportion.
But this wasn't his last performance, was it?
Kind of.
There was a film that he was halfway through making,
with
and they
Terry
ended
Gilliam,
up finishing the film off with a whole bunch of other people.
Johnny Depp.
The whole bunch of famous people taking on the roles at further points through that character's life.
Yeah.
I can't remember the film for the life of me, but the Batman one was the last one that he completed in full.
It's the last completed film. Yeah, that's a fairer statement. But I think that's his sort of going to be the role that he'll probably be remembered for mostly.
Well, this is why I've not really read them, because it does kind of strike me that they're not going to say, well, the film would have been okay if it had been Jack Nicholson instead. They're not going to do that.
They're not going to slag him off, are they?
Just the same as they wouldn't diss the film that they've been in themselves. They may well think, oh my god, another Batman movie. But well, if I'm going to get paid to do another 4 of these, I guess I shouldn't be putting it down. I can't see that they would have said anything bad about him. I can imagine that it is going to be a good role, but
From the trailers I've seen, I do actually think it is a damn good role, and he plays it really, really well. It's a different Joker to... If you're going to the cinema to expect Jack Nicholson again, then you're in for a bit of a surprise. But I think that it's an action movie. It's a superhero movie. When's the last time anybody who ever acted in a superhero movie won an Oscar through that superhero movie? I just don't think that the whatever film academy it is going to seriously consider giving an Oscar
An action movie.
to not just an action movie, a superhero movie. I mean, these are the popcorn movies of the day, aren't they? You know, they're not a serious movie.
See, I feel sorry for the guy that played Two-Face.
Aaron Eckhart.
Well, no, but in all of the trailers that you see, it's all Batman or the Joker. I didn't even know that Two-Face was in it.
He's not.
Oh, he's not?
No. Not from... Okay, how much do you know about Batman?
Not a lot.
Right. There's a new district attorney in Gotham, and his name's Harvey Dent. You may remember Harvey Dent from the first Batman movie. Yeah, he was in it then. He goes on to become Two-Face, which I don't know much about what the full plot of the movie that's coming out, but I suspect that it's going to be set up so Two-Face will potentially be the villain of the third film, if they make a third film.
Right, okay.
So you're basically being introduced to Harvey Dent.
Right.
And
okay.
I've heard rumours that you may see him having the accident that makes him become Two-Face, but I'm not... excuse me, I don't think he's actually going to actively be Two-Face in the movie. Right,
because the last set of Batman movies, they were going through sort of trying to cram as many of the classic bad guys into each episode as they could.
Yeah.
Because they had... was it the Riddler and Two-Face they had in that one?
They had the Riddler and Two-Face in Batman and Robin. No, Batman Forever.
Yeah.
And then in Batman and Robin, they had Bane, they had Poison Ivy,
and Mr.
Freeze.
Yeah, they're just cramming as many bad guys as they possibly could.
Yeah. And, well, Bane is a whole different conversation we can have about Batman, but I don't want to nerd out too much. Suffice to say, they completely missed the point of Bane, and they completely they just didn't do him justice.
Yeah.
In the comic books, Bane is the character that kills Batman. Or
right.
He doesn't kill Batman. He breaks Bruce Wayne's back, and somebody else has to step in and become Batman.
Right.
He's sort of like the ultimate. Can you remember when Superman died?
No.
No, okay. You're not a comic book guy, are you?
I'm not a big comic fan. No, not really.
Okay, we'll not go down that road, because that's not going to make any sense to you either. Bane was an absolutely huge villain. He was an absolute turning point in Batman sort of comics.
So making him into a drone that's pumped up on drugs.
He was just a big thug lackey type thing, and no, that wasn't Bane.
No,
that really wasn't. That really did piss me off, to be honest. There's so much you can do with Bane and make an absolutely fantastic movie out of it, and I hope Nolan does it. But they just completely trashed him.
But I think that now, with regards to whether he's going to get an Oscar or whether he deserves an Oscar or whatever, they're just using it to.
It's a PR ploy, isn't it? I'm sure it is. Yeah. Which is a very cynical attitude to have.
Yeah.
But unfortunately,
what else could they do? They couldn't just not say anything about him. So I guess bigging him up is possibly the.
Yeah, I mean,
way around it.
I would have thought they could have said, yes, it's going to be the defining role of his, that's his legacy, the Joker. But I think it's possibly taking it a bit too far, saying he should get an Oscar for it.
But the best evil bad guy ever played.
He says it. Michael Caine said it outscares Hannibal Lecter. I mean, to be fair, we have to wait and see and watch the film. He could be absolutely spot on.
Okay, before we see Batman, then who would you say was the baddest of the bad? You mentioned Hannibal Lecter there. Would you say
what scariest villains?
Scariest villains.
Well, if we're talking of any film ever, I'd probably say the Aliens.
Yeah,
they absolutely
Aliens,
terrified me in the first film. It absolutely terrified me in the first film. The bit right at the end when Ripley gets into the escape pod shuttle thing.
Yeah.
And she's sort of getting undressed, ready to go into stasis. She goes over to the console, and the thing's sort of underneath the console, and it sort of unfolds itself out from there. Absolutely scared me witless.
If we're going for single point of absolutely terrified, then it would have to be the Velociraptors jumping at the girl that was climbing into the air ducts in Jurassic Park.
Really?
I just wasn't ready for that and jumped out my skin. But if we're going for a character, Jack Torrance in the Overlook Hotel.
No.
The Shining.
No.
That whole situation was just...
couldn't disagree with you more. Again, if Doug was here, that's one of his favourite films, The Shining. Yeah. I can't stand it. I hate the film. I thought it was a very poor film.
Yeah, so I
didn't get
film.
the suspense. I didn't get the fear. I just found it monotonous and boring.
I saw the film and then several years later read the book. And the interesting thing about doing it that way round is when you're reading the book and the film is sort of, you've not seen the film for a few years, you're certainly seeing the characters.
You're seeing Jack Nicholson, aren't you? Yeah.
And you're seeing them in the situations that you remember from the film,
even though
and
they're
then you
not
see
in
the
film.
film again afterwards, and you think, well, hang on a second, I remember that whole section was in the film last time.
Yeah, but
where's
it's
it
not,
gone?
is it? No. See, I read the book probably 3, 4 or 5 times before I saw the film. It's one of my favourite books. One of my least favourite films.
Yeah.
Just didn't work for me, I'm afraid.
Time has come for us to part at last. Don't seek me now, please turn away. I hold my breath, the moment's soon to pass. This pain we feel will leave one day. I felt all your sorrow. Hold on till tomorrow. Let time find its place in our moments. All we had together changed as in the weather. Time has played its part with our hearts. was there for us to share. If we had known all would change so fast, would knowing take away the care? Minutes forming hours, sweetness turning sour. All we know of today fades away. Clinging to the memory, keeping you within me. I'll see you in my mind throughout time. I'll see you in my mind throughout time.
Jennings and Keller and Time Changes. That reminds me, actually, me announcing that song, you missed out on a bit of feedback.
I did, actually.
You did?
Yes, you just reminded me. Last week we played a song by who was it? Dirty Proper. The song was called 1976, and I did comment that it caught
Yeah,
me
it stopped.
unawares because it stopped all of a sudden, and I was expecting a bit of a fade out. Well, Trey from Dirty Proper sent us an email. He said, thanks for playing 1976 in episode 29. I should have put a warning up that it cuts off so quick. Keep up the great podcasting, and if you'd like a CD, please let me know. Thanks, Trey from Dirty Proper.
Oh, you didn't say about the CD?
No, I didn't.
Oh, absolutely. So you replied to him saying, heck yeah.
I haven't done yet, but I will do, yes. Which is nice, because that proves they must have actually listened to the whole show to get my comment. Because
Yeah.
normally what happens, for those of you that don't know, we get all of our music from the PodSafe Music Network, which we've mentioned a few times. And the deal here is we can play songs on these podcasts without having to pay royalties. The only stipulation is that we have to report back to the artists that we've played it and tell them which show we've played the music in. And that's done very
announced in the
easily.
show.
We don't actually have to back announce the songs.
Hmm.
That's not a requirement, but it's just polite to do so.
Yeah.
And it's really easily done on the website. You just click a button which generates an auto email. You just type in which show it was, and that gets sent off to the artist. So obviously Trey from Dirty Proper got this notification that the Dumbed Down Life had played one of their songs, and he'd obviously gone through, listened to the show, and picked up that it caught me out. So
And any artists that are listening, don't worry, it's not your fault if your song cuts off quickly.
It's our
our
fault.
fault for not listening to the end of it and getting the show ready properly, like we've done like twice, I think.
Yeah, when we first started, we did actually listen to the songs and make little notes that after 4 minutes 30 seconds the singing stops, and then there's a 30-second fade out, so we knew that we could talk over the top of that bit, or we knew when it was coming to an end. But for the last 25 shows or so, we've not really bothered, have we?
Well,
And that
some of
caught
the
us out
songs-
last week.
Yeah, some of the songs I'm so used to that you don't even think about how it ends. You're just listening to the song when it's playing. And then it stops and you think, oh, open the mic. We're supposed to be talking.
Yeah, you wouldn't be
The
thinking
show
of Blake
must go
Morgan by any chance there, would you?
Blake Morgan, and also the Buckcherry song earlier.
Yeah.
That was another one that I was thinking of that I've heard enough times.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks for that, Trey.
Yes, and if you would like to get in contact with us, that's anybody, not just Trey specifically, you can call us on 07092 274 759.
Well, you can send us an email to ddl.podshow@googlemail.com.
The website has the show notes for every single show that we have released, and you can leave comments on any of the shows, or you can pop into the chat room and leave a comment in there, because it will stay around until until the end of time, I believe. And that is on www.dumbeddownlife.com.
And you can follow us on Twitter. Our username is dumbeddownlife.
Now, those of you who normally listen to us on the live streaming show will be aware of the problems that we had last week. We are in the middle of negotiations and technical dealings with a new service, so that we don't have to worry about booking times, and we have a little bit more control over what we can do with the live shows. Hopefully, I know I said this last week, but the week seems to have flown by. Hopefully next week we will have a live show available again. There'll be a slight change to the website for different players and things, but we'll get an email out or a notification out to let people know in enough time so that you can set your systems up to listen to us.
Hopefully it will mean that we can stream at any time we like, not just at 9 o'clock on a Thursday.
Yeah,
whatever time
the quality is.
Yeah, we probably would be able to up the quality as well, won't we? So hopefully it'll all come together and be really, really good.
This will be when we take off and take over the entire podcasting community.
We're going to have to fight Scott Sigler for that one, I'm afraid.
Well, you can go first.
Thanks. Right, that's about it, really, isn't it?
I think so.
That'll do. 51 minutes again.
See, we only had two subjects and we were worried about filling up 10 minutes.
And every week we say we really ought to get this down to about half an hour again, like we used to.
Yeah, but the more comfortable we get, the longer the show gets.
Yeah, I'm sure we could just keep going for another half hour, but not this week, eh?
Not this week. Good night, everybody.
See you next week.
Bye.